Wow, stories.
Am I the idiot? I went boo towards a coworker and her husband says they'll both quit. For context, I absolutely adore the old lady. She's in her 60s and she always makes jokes about marrying me off to one of her kids to keep me in the family. I also work with her husband. Real quiet man, but I like him. Now this happened a couple hours ago. I saw the lady walking by and she didn't notice me, so I tried to playfully get her attention by going boo. She jumped and went, "Ah!" Before I started to laugh, she laughed too, and I thought jokingly said, "You don't respect me as an elder?" And I said something like, "No, I see you as a friend," and gave her a small hug. We continued to talk and joke around until she went home, so I thought it was fine. Then her husband texted me after my shift to say if I ever scared his woman again, she told him to tell me she'd immediately quit her job and he would too. I thought it was a joke, but no, he was serious. I apologized, but I think that was super harsh for horsing around. Am I the idiot? Edit. I don't particularly care if I'm the AH anymore. I talked directly with a work senior to see what I can do about apologizing and possibly leaving my apprenticeship at the community center, and they said both my friend and her husband have been looking for a reason to quit for some time now as they don't like their salary. I don't like knowing I'm being used by PPL who said they wished I was their son. My senior also thought that though I acted immaturely, this could count as harassment from her husband as her husband contacted me, an apprentice, instead of going to her, our senior coordinator. She highly suspects that he did this on behalf of my friend, as she's not one to hide behind her man. Thinking about it too, he contacted me at midnight on a Friday. Looking back on these texts, he was probably drunk and I was too emotional to see it at the time. We're going to have a meeting with the coordinator on Monday and try to correct this situation. But yeah, I don't care if I'm the AH anymore. I'm too emotionally mixed up over all this new information to care. Final update edit. I apologized and I'll admit there were tears. The final conclusion was that she felt I was not respecting her as a native elder as previously stated. I should treat her with respect and dignity and should speak to her when she is ready, not when I demand it. In the end, she said she still loves me and hugged me and said, "Let's move past this. It's done." So I'm glad it resolved easily. She also half-heartedly admitted she was homesick to see her daughters and not all that happy in her job, so she was apologetic also. Though it wasn't really pertinent to our difficulties, I thank those for telling me about their startled response, their weak bladders, their PTSD flashbacks, their heart pacers, their anxiety attacks, their sexual assault histories, etc. I didn't realize there were so many fragile people in the world, so I will curb my enthusiasm moving forward to be mindful and respectful. Additional cultural context I feel those should know. When I said his woman or old lady, I am translating terms into English. A woman with grandchildren is an elder and should be treated as such. There are certain social mores and treatises I should respect, so I am not calling her old at 60. Sorry to the PPL who thought I was an AH for that. Also, his woman is used if they're married socially, but not married legally. So he's not possessive to the people who were worried about that. And to the ones that were scratching their heads about the harassment comment, it was more of a social problem. Our community sees our elders as our spiritual leaders, language leaders, our mentors, and our societal leaders. Having two elders leave our community center at once would reflect very poorly on us, and it could be hard to replace such prominent elders, as our, and possibly my, reputation would be tarnished. So my senior was just assuring me it wouldn't be my fault if they left, since they already expressed that they were thinking of it. He, in a moment of passion, was just using his seniority to defend his wife. On the way in, I saw her husband, and he looked somewhat embarrassed by his late-night texts to me. I simply said, "I apologize to your woman," and he nodded his head. Seeing how he and I are acting somewhat foolishly, I know he was just trying to defend his wife's honor, so I will do as my friend said and move past all this. After all this, we are laughing again, and I am helping set up for her home EC classes, so I will take this as a learning experience as a young native man and try to grow into a respectable adult. You're the idiot. I have POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. My heart races fast when standing. When I get startled at work by coworkers, it causes my pulse to increase, and has caused me to pass out. On top of this, I have trauma due to breaking and entering. You don't know people's stories or issues, and she's justified in being upset. However, threatening to quit is a bit extreme, not the idiot. It was a harmless joke. Everybody trying to tiptoe around somebody potentially having had trauma in their lives is ridiculous. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for complimenting a group of female students on their work? I, male 37, work for a small tech company. My local university has a partnership with our company and invited some of us to judge a game jam competition where students have 3 days to make a small game in groups. I was one of the judges. There were a lot of groups that were mixed gender, some with just guys and 3 groups with only girls. 2 of the girl groups dropped out the first day as they felt they could not get their idea done. When I passed by the work area of the remaining girl group, I saw that they were making really good progress, and I complimented them on their game, said it was looking really good, and mentioned that the other girl groups dropped out, but it looks like they are surviving. One of the girls got upset at me and said I should not be complimenting their project in a way that implies it is good work for a girl project. She was visibly cold with me for the rest of the competition and glared at me. And I think she complained to someone because later I got a message from a manager about making sure I was sensitive about the lack of women in CS. I still gave their project a good score as it was really good, and my 3rd favorite. They ended up winning and my 1st and 2nd pick came 2nd and 4th respectively. Am I the idiot for complimenting their project? Edit. Okay, I get the point. I will be more careful next time and I kind of get it. However, it was not my intent to make her feel that way. I thought I was encouraging them. It never directly said something like good work for a girl. You're the idiot. You're not TA for complimenting their project. You're TA because you singled them out for their sex and called attention to the fact that the other groups that were all women had dropped out. Did you make note of which all-male groups had dropped? Did you go around to the other all-male groups and point out that they were sticking to it when other men had dropped? No, you did not. It's weird of you, as a judge, to comment on how they were still sticking in when others had dropped. They're not in those other groups. You're the idiot. The way you phrased it wasn't just complimenting their project for its own sake. It was attached with an implicit caveat that they should be particularly proud because the 2 other all-girl groups had dropped out. That is, the trend indicates that all girl groups can't hack it, so well done for bucking that trend. The word surviving was a particularly poor choice because it brings to mind the age-old stereotype that girls don't work well together, and they were somehow soldiering on in spite of their supposed genetic tendency to tear each other apart.